well around a lot of people, and with an impatient line behind me and only 3 clerks working behind the desk, I was feeling especially out of my depth. My things in hand, I backed away from the desk to give Vicki room. Oof! A heavy thump and a clatter accompanied the sound as I collided into the person who'd been standing behind me. "Oh my gosh," I said, spinning. Already, a red ring of embarrassment was working its way up my neck to color my face. "I'm so sorry." The man staggered back a step and nearly bumped into the woman behind him. He was tall, with dark hair combed back from a rather attractive face. I fully expected him to yell at me, but instead, he broke into a wide, chagrined smile. "I'm sure it was my fault," he said, voice tinged with a hint of an accent I couldn't place. "Had my nose in my phone and was probably standing too close." There wasn't a phone in his hand. After a quick glance around, I found it lying on the floor at my feet. He bent down and picked it up before I could do so myself. He glanced at the screen briefly before shoving the phone into his pocket. "Did I break it?" I asked as he righted his luggage, which had been the source of the thump that had accompanied his phone's clatter on the hard tile. "Not a scratch," he said, patting his pocket. "Are you okay? You seem flustered." "Flustered? Me?" I brushed my hand through my hair and tried on a smile. I didn't even want to know what I looked like after spending the last 5 hours in a car. "Just a little trouble with our reservations," I said. "My friend is working it out." He glanced past me to Vicki before nodding. "Are you here for JavaCon?" For some reason, my heart gave a little leap at the question. "We are." "Me too." He reached out a hand. "Thomas Cole." I shook. His handshake was firm, yet surprisingly soft at the same time. "Krissy Hancock." "May I help who's next?" Thomas gathered his luggage. "That's me," he said. "I hope to see you around, Krissy." "You too, Thomas." I watched as he sauntered up to the counter to check in. I had to admit, it wasn't an entirely unpleasant sight, considering the tight jeans he was wearing. Not that I was looking, mind you. Okay, maybe I was a little, but it wasn't like I was in the market for a new boyfriend. I hadn't been single for that long, all things considered. I needed a mental break from all the distractions relationships caused. This trip was supposed to be all business, and darn it, I was going to make sure it stayed that way. "You could bounce a ping-pong ball off those cheeks," Rita said into my ear. I nearly leapt from my shoes as I spun on her. "Don't do that," I said, "and keep your voice down, he might hear." She was grinning, a mischievous gleam to her eye. "So what if he does? It's not like you're seeing anyone. Honestly, dear, it might be good for you to loosen up a bit. The way I hear it, you've been so tense lately, people are starting to talk." "Talk about what?" I asked. The look on Rita's face told me everything I needed to know. Honestly, I wasn't sure how my sex life, or lack thereof, was anyone's business. Genuinely flustered and a whole lot embarrassed, I fumbled for my phone. "Stay here and watch my bag," I said. "I need to make a call." Rita nodded and turned back to admire Thomas's backside some more. She can have him, I thought as I walked across the room to the far corner, where it was quieter. As I said, I wasn't in the market, and it wasn't like there could be anything between us even if I was. As far as I knew, he lived halfway across the country from Pine Hills, the small town in Ohio where I lived. There was no way I was going to entertain thoughts of a long-distance relationship. I dialed and put the phone to my ear. A woman with a gray beehive hairdo entered, dragging 5 suitcases behind her as if they weighed nothing. Her fingernails were bright red, as was her lipstick. She wore large sunglasses that covered half of her face, which looked slightly swollen, as if she'd recently been stung or had gotten an injection of some kind. Her nose turned up at the tip, and deep lines framed her mouth, despite the puffiness of her face. She was even wearing a faux fur coat that went all the way to her red heels. All that was missing was a small dog tucked under her arm. "Death by Coffee, this is Lena speaking." "Hi, Lena, it's Krissy. I'm just calling to let you know we've made it all right. How are things back home?" "Great," she said. "We've been giving Mason a hard time, but it's all in fun." Vicki's husband, Mason, had offered to help out around Death by Coffee, our bookstore cafe, while we were gone. Our 3 other employees, Lena, Jeff, and Beth, could all handle themselves to varying degrees, so it wasn't like he needed to help out.